We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. Zach is with us. Mr. Blake, can I take off a Sunday? Oh, I don't want to be here. Doesn't even text me back. Just shows up when he wants to. Hanging out with a little girl. How about that? Zachy! Producer Zach got him a girlfriend. What are you freaking out about? She's not going to see this, or maybe she does. Maybe I'll send it to her. By the way, she sent me a friend request. Anywho, we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. I already mentioned that. We got a lot we got to get into tonight. LSU baseball preview. So we recapped last night, the A&M series. I'm not going to have to rehash it. You're just going to have to go back and listen to it. We'll touch on it throughout the week. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and put that one in the rear view mirror, if you will. Let's preview some Central Arkansas, but here's the main thing. Zach, we predicted this last night when you were absent, hanging out with a girl and kissing her, and going to the movies and holding hands like a little schoolgirl. I predicted last night, Zachy, that Arkansas is going to be number 5 today. They are. So now in Alex Box this weekend, you have a top 5 matchup versus LSU and Arkansas. We'll break down Arkansas here tonight. Guys, they're a really solid club. They are an absolutely 100% a solid club. So we'll talk about that here tonight, led by guys like Wegner, Kendall Diggs, Jace Boffrin, or I can't say that kid's last name. We'll just call him Jace Barofrin. However you say that name, I can't even say it, the last name. And Taven Jossenberger, who are leading them, and they got some really good pitching as well. Hagen Smith, Hunter Holland, Dylan Carter, and Will McIntyre. So a really solid club. We'll talk about that here tonight. We'll talk some LSU spring football as it resumes this week. Everybody is back and accounted for, from what I understand in here. Nobody, allegedly, now things could change, but allegedly nobody went out and did anything silly. Okay? So looks like everybody's back and accounted for. We'll be out there Saturday, I believe, to view practice, and then we'll have LSU football at LSU baseball at 1:00. So a big day this Saturday. We'll preview some of the LSU spring football stuff that we want to see as well. Like he does every Monday, Carter, the Power Bryant, joins us at 7:30. We'll talk some more football, maybe a little bit of March Madness with old Carter as well. We'll go around your SEC, massive SEC baseball weekend. We'll also talk a little bit of Jimbo Fisher. We'll go around the SEC when it comes to football as well after Carter leaves us. Also, Saints gearing up for someone, as they did just make a massive addition, in my opinion, as the Saints signed former second-round pick Lonnie Johnson, or DB Lonnie Johnson. So they have gotten themselves at a $45 million worth of dead money and cap concerns, and now have about $16 to $17 million to play with. We'll talk to the Saints as well, and then if we have time, we'll wrap up March Madness. Zach, in the comments, who is your favorite team left in the bracket? I hate, as much as it pains me to say this, I still think Alabama's the best team in the field of 16. Still think they are the best team in the field of 16. Just got to admit that, man. Got to admit, I do believe that they're the best team in the field of 16. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's get to a couple comments, though, before we get started. Ryan says A&M is the biggest, the one that's the most overrated. Okay. We'll talk about that with Carter. He asked that question today as well on Twitter. Kristen Connor says, Adam, you beat me to it. What did he beat you to? Oh, is it Miss Lucy? Okay, Zach, you dirty dog. You were in here a couple weeks ago saying you wanted to be with her. Just throwing that out there. Ray Powell says, "Gets go." I'm sure he's saying, "Let's go." Kenny Futch says, "Go Tigers," and that he is watching. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Texas and Bama, says Zach. Those are his two favorite teams left in March Madness. Okay. Pooh Bear says, sir, I don't even know where my phone is. I don't know if Pooh texted me or not. Pooh, no. No. I don't know where Pooh Bear's been. I mean, come in the stream. Jeff says Houston and Bama. Okay, I'm not big on Houston. Zach, did you see this thing today? In reference to, they said that half of Louisiana is rooting for Alabama to win the national title. In what world is Louisiana rooting for Alabama? It's not true. No way is that true at all. Nobody in the great state of Louisiana is rooting for Alabama to win anything. I just think that they're the best team still in the field. It's just how I feel. All right. Hold on, Pooh. We're going to have to figure that out. Let's see. I just sent you the code. Let's see. There you go. He said I wouldn't root for Alabama to beat Putin. No, that's one person I would root for them against. I mean, Putin and Saban would be a pretty good matchup, don't you think? Two dictators. Nikki Hughes sends some stars via Facebook. Thank you so much, Nikki, for doing so. Ryan says I'm not rooting for toothless people. It's true. By the way, never mind. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to be that petty today. We're not being petty on a Monday. We got to let the week progress. But we do have a massive show in store for you tonight. We'll preview some Arkansas versus LSU baseball. We'll talk some spring football. We'll get to Carter Bryant as well, like we do every Monday, it seems like, with him, as spring football's back, baby. So we'll talk on that as well. All right, Zach, let's do this. Let's get to our break. Let's talk about our good friends, though, over at betonline.ag and all of our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons. But before, guys, do us a favor. If you're on Facebook, hit that like and share. Share to all of those social media pages. Share to all of those Facebook groups. Thank you so much for doing that. If you're listening to us on YouTube, there is many of you in YouTube that have not hit the like button. So exit out of the chat, hit the like button, share to Twitter, share to Facebook. Do your boy a solid by hitting that like button. It helps us with that algorithm, gets more people to see our show. If you're listening to us on radio, podcast, wherever you're listening, thank you so much for joining us. Rate, review, and subscribe as well, and we appreciate you doing that. All right, let's get to our first break. We're back in 1 minute. Got a lot of LSU to preview, also spring football to preview as well. We'll be back soon. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Florida Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9902. Tell me your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. But Texas isn't. Kenny Fudge says, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. The bandwagon Louisiana Bama fans are pulling for the Gumps. Yeah, I don't get that. I really don't get how you can root for Alabama. I'm not. I just think that they're the best. I'm not really rooting for anybody, really. I could care less. The only team that I'm rooting for in basketball for the remainder of any seasons, obviously LSU. Later in the week, we're trying to line something up to get a preview of Utah versus LSU. So we're going to try to bring in a guest for that to help us preview that game. But Kenny says, so there you go, Kenny. I agree with you. Adam B says A&M is making it very difficult to pull over Bama. A&M is making it very difficult to pull for over Bama. It's true. I can agree with that. Jeff says Arkansas falls in the toothless category as well. I can agree with that. Meth is a hell of a drug. Ryan says no such thing as a wrong place, wrong time. Well, that's what Nick Saban just said. If you were listening to us on the Ruffino and Joe show, he had to make a statement. I think that we were the one, or at least Joe was the one to break the story on Tony Mitchell, the 4-star recruit who signed with Alabama, was an early enrollee that got in a little bit of trouble, to say the least, and Nick Saban responded to it. Looks like Tony Mitchell is going to be suspended for his actions as well. So let's get into this. So, guys, look, like I mentioned just a minute ago, we previewed, we recapped, we talked about what happened between LSU and A&M. Don't necessarily want to have to rehash that, right? Like, I mean, I'm kind of the belief and thought process that we should just move on, right? Like, we should just legitimately move on from the series. Now, don't forget about it, because if you're a game short of winning the West, if you're a game short from being the number 1 overall seed to host a super regional, yes, don't forget that, okay? Like, let's not mistake that. I don't want you to forget about it, but move on. Right? Like, let's progress and move forward from what happened this weekend against A&M, because you do have a Central Arkansas team that you should go out there and really take it to tomorrow. I think their game's at 6:30. You should be able to handle Central Arkansas pretty well. My thing, and the thing that I think that we'll spend not a lot of time on, but when we speak baseball and talk baseball, is what LSU has this upcoming weekend against Arkansas. They have the Wagner kid who's hitting .384. He leads their team in batting average. He also leads their team in home runs and RBIs. He has 9 home runs and 33 RBIs. Kendall Diggs is another guy hitting .344, 6 home runs, 24 RBIs. Tavian Jossenberger is another guy that's hitting the ball really well. He's hitting .346, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs. And Jace, I apologize. Let me back up a little bit. Jace, the guy that also is for Arkansas, is hitting .406 with 5 home runs and 17 RBIs. Guys, they're the number 5 team in the nation for a reason. They play like it. They act like it. They're really good in the field, and they're pretty decent on the mound. Now, this past weekend, they went up against Auburn, and they swept Auburn pretty dramatically. There wasn't ever really a time in doubt that Arkansas wasn't going to sweep Auburn this past weekend, even though Auburn seems to be pretty down this year in baseball. You have a top 5 matchup, and something that I will talk about all week long. It does start with Central Arkansas. You got to get that little bit of that mojo back, because if Paul's Hub Martin just put in the comments, and it's right here in our notes, Central Arkansas beat Vandy in the midweek. Or was it a midweek? I'm pretty sure it was a midweek. You got to kind of treat this game like he says, and I agree, like Lamar. You got a really tough week of baseball. Central Arkansas is not just a slouch that you can just roll out there and think you can dominate. You can, you should, you probably will, but you have multiple Arkansas teams coming into the box this weekend that you got to take on, and you got to impose your will. They also, Arkansas, as an example, has some really good starting pitching. Hagen Smith, Hunter Holland, Dylan Carter, Will McIntyre. Here's their ERAs. 1.17, 2.36, 2.55, 3.71. 34 strikeouts, 24 strikeouts, 14 strikeouts, 22 strikeouts. Oh, and by the way, they don't walk a lot of people. They don't walk a lot of dudes. So you have, in turn, probably the best baseball weekend that you will have so far, 1 versus 5. So I don't know if what you're necessarily waiting for. I don't know if this is a series you just kind of, yeah, baseball's here. Yeah, whatever. No, this team needs you. You need to pack out the box. You need to be there rooting them on. Because if you're going to make a run, you got to win this series. I don't care if you sweep. I'm not expecting LSU to sweep the number 5 team in the country. Just not. I'm just not. But this is going to be an outright battle. Now, last year, you went on the road to Arkansas and got swept. You lost 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M a year ago. Now, do I want LSU to sweep? Do I think they have the potential to do that? Yes and yes. But the likelihood and scenario of that happening for me right now isn't necessarily likely. You're facing a really good team. And if you do sweep number 5 Arkansas, then it tells you really what you have. Sometimes a loss in baseball can help you reset. That's why you play multiple times best of 7. It's why you have a losers bracket in regional and super regionals. Baseball is a very different sport than the big 3. Very different sport because on any given night, literally on any given night, Central Arkansas can go to Nashville and win. Central Arkansas can go to Nash Vegas and win. But Arkansas is not a slouch. One thing as from last night, and the one thing that I do and will touch on that recap against Texas A&M is this. You can't go on these long hitting blunders and droughts. You kind of can't. Now, LSU will go on these explosions. They'll have an explosion in the first. They'll get 4 runs, and then from 3, 4, 5, and 6, not only can you not muster a run, you can't really get a lot of base runners. And then when you do get those guys on, you got to get them over and get them in. You cannot on Sunday leave 12 guys on base. Or what was it? I don't even remember my notes, but we counted it on the show how many guys you left on base against A&M in game 3. But I will say, don't let what happened, and I've tried to say this all day, and it still's gotten a lot of pushback from fans commenting on our show and you commenting on Twitter and Facebook. Don't let what happened Sunday be the outright thought that you have on this team. Because Saturday, you dominated. Friday, Paul Skeens went cuckoo for outright Cocoa Puffs, striking out 11. Oh, and by the way, the strike zone that he had was so tight. Pause. But it was extremely tight. They squeezed him. Still went out there and dominated. I don't know if Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in college baseball, but he sure damn looks like it. And he's pitching like it. If you take game 1, man, you just got to take another one. And Saturday, you went down 4-0. You battled your way back. Sunday, you were ahead and couldn't hold them off. Great experience for this team. And with it being said, this still is a pretty young team in all accords, right? Like, we think of Tommy Tanks as an upperclassman, which I guess he kind of somewhat is to some extent because he's only a sophomore. You have Brady Neal, freshman. Jared Jones, freshman. Paxton Kling, freshman. Josh Pearson, also sophomore. So more than half of your lineup is 2-year guys. It's 2-year guys. You still relatively have a young team. That experience that they gained at A&M this weekend is massive for them. Now, you got to continue to get these guys on base. You just got to get them over and get them in. The question of the debate will ultimately be, and I know that Zach and his brother Reagan on Tigers Avenue talked about this, do you put in a Joe Bear? Do you put in a Beloso? But my question would be where and for who? Because I just don't see a scenario, maybe other than Paxton Kling, but I'm not ready to write off clean yet, right? Like, I know that his at-bats looked worse than a clown costume on Halloween. I mean, he had a really bad weekend. I'm not writing that kid off in the slightest. He's too athletic. You know that eventually that his bat's going to speed up. He's going to see pitches well, and it's only a matter of time before he really explodes. Now, he's got a tough lineup that he's going to have to do that against. Hogan Smith is not a joke. Hunter Holland is not a joke. Dylan Carter is not a joke. Will McIntyre is not a joke. So you're going to probably and more than likely have the potential to see 4 really tough dudes. You got to be patient. You got to go with what these guys are going to give you. You got to capitalize on mistakes. You got to capitalize on mistakes because Arkansas is just not that team that you're going to be able to go out there and push around all the live long day. You're going to give up hits. They're going to score runs. The one thing that I will say, though, in watching Arkansas that I really do give, obviously, LSU the massive advantage. Outside of Wegner, Diggs, Jace, and Jossenberger, guys, they've struggled at the plate from the other guys. So those being 4 dudes that are hitting above 300, one hitting 406, guys, they've struggled in the back end of their lineup. Back end of their order, they have really struggled at times. LSU's got to capitalize on that. You can't give up base hits to guys that are struggling. Got to get them out. Okay. Get a couple comments. Let's see here. All right. Rick says, great show last night, Blake. Super LSU baseball coverage. Keep up the great work. We appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. Blaine Smith says, wide receiver Cam Coleman had great camp. Hurley pushing for him to come to LSU. That's true. That is very true. He says, I hope he comes to LSU. We'll see. Abby, I guess, I hope I'm saying that right, says explosion pauses. Yeah. Pooh Bear's been gone. He's been out. And so me using the word pause has gone down. Some pundits have, Andrew Pauls on Martin says, Pooh, just letting you know that I've not said the word pause. It's down by 400%. Actually, Zach has been the one that we've had to say pause. Did you see him coming in at home there, Mr. Blake? And I'm like, pause, Zach. I mean, Jesus Christ. Anyway, Andrew Pauls of Martin says Central Arkansas did beat Vanderbilt, so treat this game like Lamar. I agree. Guys, you got a full week of, they're gonna have to put Arkansas part of Louisiana if you're able to just go 4-0 this week or dominate, go 3-1. Got to go 3-1. That's the goal. If you can go clean sweep by far and all means, please God, do so. I just don't know if they can do that. I don't know if they can take 3 of 3. We'll see. But they were impressive against Auburn, but Auburn's just not. Look, and I will be open with this. I don't tweet about this much. I don't talk about this much on the show. But when it comes to Southeastern baseball, I watch a lot of Southeastern baseball. It's where I went to school, played, all that stuff. And they took it to Auburn. Kind of feel like if Southeastern can take 2 of 3 from Auburn and Arkansas swept them in 9-2, 7-1, whatever the scores were, Arkansas is beatable. Right? Like, they're beatable. But they're up there with you. You want to stay at top of the SEC West. You want to have control of your own destiny. You want to control things. You got to beat Arkansas, as they swept you last year. So, to cruise, like they're going to let some of these guys have some media availability. First question I'm asking Dylan Cruz, how much do you want revenge from Arkansas? Because he has not, from a team's perspective, since Dylan Cruz has been here. Zach, can you bean count me on this? I know we got swept last year. What did LSU do in 2021 against Arkansas during their regular season? If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if Dylan Cruz. I think they won 2 or won 1 of 3, maybe. Bean count me on that because Dylan Cruz has not, from a team success, has not had a lot of success against Arkansas. Zach says, where do you get this stuff? I make it up in my head. I don't know where it comes from. Chad says on Facebook, kind of disappointed. It looks like Skeens isn't going to swing here. I get it, but I could stop you right there. He says, top of the lineup goes 1 of 19 over 2 games. Needed a right-handed bat in the ninth. Let's stick with Neil, who also is, sub 300? He's below 300. But, man, look, I don't look at this. Guys, we're going to have to hire Paul Sub. I think what Zach does is he waits for Paul Sub to say something. Boy, we wait for Paul Sub. But there you go. So what? He's 1-5 against Arkansas. Dylan Cruz is 1-5 against Arkansas in his LSU career. First question I'm asking him right out of the break. First question. Dylan, how much do you want this series? How much do you want to sweep him? Now he'll give you the PR answer that he just how Dylan Cruz is built. He'll tell you, oh yeah, I want to sweep him. Obviously, we want to have success. No, like how bad do you really want it? Because if there's a team that you don't have success against, and you play for a prestigious program, you're a prestigious player, you want to go out there and win. I hope that they dominate, though. I hope he'll dominate. Dane Bergeron says Jay Johnson will make necessary adjustments. Yeah, there's going to be adjustment tomorrow. Pretty massive, I think. I think Mr. Zach's going to get one of his ways in what he was talking about. Michael Roby says, does Coach Wes Johnson, the pitching coach, give us an advantage against Arkansas? It's a good question. Maybe. Here's the biggest. So here, I'm not necessarily worried about. Look, Arkansas has some dudes that can hit. I mean, this Wegner kid, guys, he's second in the SEC in home runs with 9. I mean, that kid can really hit. I'm talking about really smash. Pause. See, it went down 400%. Last week, Pooh, I wouldn't have said pause. Here's my thing, though. Who had that question? Here's my thing that I think the game is. Can you hit off them? Now, I don't think that any pitching staff in the country can hold this lineup down for long, but here's my thing. Guys, Hagen Smith has a 1.17 ERA. He's got 34 strikeouts and 16 walks. Now, the walks are a little high, but he's striking out a lot of dudes. Hunter Holland, 24 strikeouts, 2.36 ERA. Dylan Carter, 2.55 ERA. And then Will McIntyre, 3.71 ERA. They got dudes that can pitch now. Have they seen a lineup like LSU on the road? No. No, they have not. So, for all intents and purposes, for everything that it's worth, you got to do it. All right. Carter Bryant joining us in a minute. We were going to talk some spring football, but we'll just do that with him. A lot of baseball talk for 30 minutes. A lot of baseball talk. Paul Sub Martin says, I was at those games too. Well, don't go to them. Maybe you're the bad luck charm, Paul Sub. Ryan says this series may decide the SEC West. It could, man. I mean, it really, really could, because let's say Arkansas takes 2 of 3, right? Like, let's say that Arkansas does take 2 of 3 from you. So what, you'll be what, 4 no, you'll be 3-2. No, 3-3, right? You'll be 3-3 in the SEC, and they would be 5-1. It's a long season. Just can't do it. Just can't do it. All right. You wanted him. You got him. He's here like every Monday. Let's get to this guy right here. Carter, the Power Bryant, Power Hour SEC with Carter Bryant. Okay. He's using it from his Power Hour SEC. All right. I like it. I like it. So about our good friends over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. We're back in 1 minute. Carter Bryant, share the stream. Share it to all those groups. Share it everywhere. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button, share, comment, all that good stuff. Carter, the Power Bryant, back with us in 1 minute.
By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vicnair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by.
Carter the Power Bryant joins us every Monday here live at 7:30. Carter, got one question for you. You ready?
Let's go.
Who's the most overrated team in the SEC?
Most overrated team in the SEC. Wow.
That's what your Twitter question asked. Who's the most overrated team in the SEC?
So, you know what's funny? I got a lot of responses, in large part thanks to your retweet.
Everybody. Oh, well, I mean, come on. As Ron Burgundy would say, kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
Did you get, because everybody was commenting on mine. Everybody said A&M. Was that the consensus from fans, A&M?
Yeah, just because of the number one ranked recruiting class and where they actually ended up. And on Power Hour SEC, I actually just dropped a deep dive on what Jimbo Fisher had to say today. Did you see?
I did see that.
Yeah, so
I don't buy that for a second.
Yeah, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a.
Do you think it's going to be a mess, or do you think that he's just not telling them? Like, you don't hire Petrino and then him not call plays. I cannot see that. He's not less, dude. He's not less. Because him and Petrino had no history with one another, and then he brought him in. I don't see it, Carter. I just can't see Bobby Petrino not calling plays.
No, it's the ego, right? It's all the time with Jimbo Fisher. So what's really interesting is whenever you see a viral tweet, and Michael Bratton of the SEC podcast does a really good job of clipping, the viral tweet and putting it up. But what's interesting is I always venture off and tell people, hey, go look at the whole press conference, see if it's out of context or whatever. And what was really interesting to me, Blake, is when you actually watch the entire Texas A&M spring press conference, it actually made Jimbo look even worse. Normally it's the other way around, right? You hear a quote, it's clipped out, and when you hear more of it, it makes you be like, oh, okay, I see why he answered it that way. But Jimbo just got this crass ego where he thinks he just knows everything. And the issue is he cuts off reporters all the time when they ask a question, which is unfair to him, unfair to the reporter, and unfair to everybody consuming, the press conference. And the issue with that is it just consistently showed that Jimbo just hasn't learned anything. And this is a major issue that I think very antiquated offenses have, is that they look at play calling as in we have got to out execute the opposition, which is true in a way. But that is also a wrong way of looking at offense as well, because defenses are so multiple now. Defenses are so much more advanced than what they used to. People don't just lock down in a 4-down alignment. They show you so many different coverages that they roll in and out of. So now your offense needs to be able to adjust to that. And when you watch Texas A&M on film last year, they simply did not do a good job of that at all, Blake. They were very predictable. And honestly, they just ran plays for the sake of running plays. They didn't sequence the plays properly. So if you go to Power Hour SEC, you can hear all the quotes that Jimbo shared today. If I'm at Texas A&M, I am terrified of what he said today because it lets me know that he hasn't learned anything. Now, I did speak to a coach today. I put a text conversation I had with him about those quotes, and he told me, hey, Carter, if they let Bobby do what he does best, watch out. Texas A&M is a real player because if you look at their wide receiver core from top to bottom, Blake, they're good. They're really good. They're a top 3 wide receiver core in the SEC. But the truth is, if Bobby isn't allowed to be Bobby, they're going to struggle, and you're going to see more Texas A&M failure. And good. Guess what, Blake? I'm happy. I like seeing Texas A&M fail, especially, us being LSU folks.
I just don't subscribe to the notion that Petrino's not calling plays. I can't. Here's my initial thought. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
My initial thought was, and this, Carter, and Bryant Kelly talked about this, Ed Orgeron's talked about this, Nick Saban's talked about this, Dabo's talked about this, Kirby especially talked about this. He goes, guys, we're breaking down film on you right now. Okay, we have nothing to do. Okay, we're breaking down film on you right now. Which offense are you going to game plan for? Because what I would make the argument is it's much different. And go back and watch Petrino. He's spreading it out now. Like, he's not just eye back, eye formation. Right. He's not doing that. But if they do go off, I think it's just going to be a mixture. I really do think that those two guys can coincide. And I will tell you something. If they do coincide, man, watch out. Because one thing that you do know, Jimbo does know what he's talking about. Okay, like, his offense might be outdated. He knows cover 3 when he sees it on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, he so I'm gonna pause for just a second. Okay. Pause. And just wait to see what he does. Now
I will say this. That is not who I think is most overrated SEC program.
All right, who do you think is the most overrated, and why is it Ole Miss?
Why is it? They're up there. They are up there.
All right, can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead. Give it your best guess.
Florida is who you're gonna pick. Okay.
No, not Florida.
Arkansas.
No, I mean, they're properly.
If you say Tennessee, my God.
No, I called the ball.
Yeah, you're a Tennessee stan.
Now I'm a huge stan. Not a fan, not a Rocky Topper, but Blake, I was pretty adamant that they were going to clear their win total pretty easily last year, and they did. They were.
We talked about Tennessee tonight on our SEC show.
Right, they were the third best team in the SEC, behind only LSU and Georgia in the grand scheme of things. You can make a case for them versus us because they beat us on our.
Is it Auburn then?
No, it is not Auburn. You're
Kentucky?
It is Kentucky. They are over.
Oh.
So I don't have. I'm not gonna eat up all your airspace here, but it is amazing what they have done to the SEC, and nobody is talking about how they have dodged all this criticism for their schedule. Okay, now I'm not going to get too deep into it now because it does take experience. I've actually been charting this all day, so there's one page of it, and here's another page of it. So this is all the charting I've been doing on their scheduling on Power Hour SEC, and I think I'm going to release the first part of it a little bit later this week, Blake. But look, I'm not sitting here saying Kentucky should have LSU success or Georgia success or Alabama success. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I'm not even saying that they should win a gazillion more games than they already do. It's just the way that people view Mark Stoops is so different than how good he's actually been at Kentucky. So just one stat for you, Blake. So a lot of people bring up all the bowl games since 2016. Did you know that they were 22-11 in one-score games? They have had a lot of close game luck, which, of course, has swayed the tie towards Kentucky.
If you have 33 close games like that in a 7-year span, is that really luck, or are you a good coach?
It's luck. 22-11 in one-score games. Most people.
I don't think that's luck, Carter, because what about the argument with Scott Frost?
That he got unlucky. I
don't think that's luck. I think that's coaching.
It could be. It very well could be. Like, if
you're as an example, let me give you an example.
Yeah, go ahead.
You remember a couple of years ago, and I do agree with you, but I don't know why I'm even defending them. Remember a couple of years ago, I think it was like 17 or 18, and maybe it was 18 or maybe even 19. I don't remember. When it was like 3rd and 10 and Kentucky ran a jet sweep and they went 84 and they housed it and they beat Florida. You remember that? The first time they beat Florida in like 20 years, something crazy like that.
Yeah,
They've just been really good, really well coached. I feel like down the stretch by Stoops, though. You don't subscribe to that.
No, I don't. I think
Okay.
I think a lot of close game luck is exactly what it is, right? Let's say someone who is the close game luck aficionado, and that's Les Miles, right? Was Les
Now
really,
that's luck.
yeah, now a lot of that is
Okay, now
a lot of that
that's
is
luck.
And look, I am not going to sit here and say Mark Stoops is a bad coach, right? He is a very solid coach. I'm also not going to sit here and say Kentucky was a program in shambles before Mark Stoops got there. He turned around a program that was 2-10. He went 2-10 in his first year, and he's turned out to be very, very good. But what I will point out is they are also cowards, right? They are big cowards. Yeah. They are a cowardly football program. And I won't go too deep into why right now, but they're cowards. That's all it is, right? Because they don't play anybody, Blake, out of conference. They have only played one Power 5 team out of conference during the Mark Stoops era. Do you know who that is? Louisville, every year. That's it. Okay. Now think about all the SEC teams. All right. Think about all of them. All right. All of them have challenged themselves outside of their conference in the Power 5, right? Except Kentucky. But they get a pass, right? Because they play Louisville every year at the end of the year. Well, what is Louisville as a football program? Well, they have Lamar Jackson and Malik Cunningham, so they've had really good quarterback play, and that's tough. I'll say that. But they're also a team that recruits worse than Mississippi State. They're a team that recruits worse than Arkansas, about the same level as Kentucky. So basically, Kentucky, during this whole Mark Stoops era, when it comes to non-conference Power 5 teams, has never played a top 30 recruiter out of conference. Now, tell me if that's fair to everybody else in the SEC. It's not. And it's just because they have a permanent rival versus a team that just isn't really that great. Blake, line play better than anyone. Louisville's offensive lines have consistently.
It's also not fair
terrible.
that Georgia gets to play Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech every year either.
True. Okay. And to your point, you're right. But
I know I'm right.
but my counter to that is, who has Georgia played to start?
I mean, they played Oregon this past year, but I can't necessarily remember a time that Georgia in week one lined it up and played somebody superb in non-conference.
Oh, well, what about the year before? Who did they play week one?
I don't remember.
Clemson.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They did play Clemson, and it was a one-score game. I do remember that. You're right. What about before that?
Well, let's see. I mean, I have to go back and look, but that's still more than Kentucky, right? It's just true. Now, here's what I'll say about this, okay? And once again, everybody, and Pierce, I saw Pierce in the chat a minute ago.
Yeah, he said you've been hammering them since.
Because it is what it is, Blake. It is what it is. You can give Kentucky all the credit in the world for the success that they have had. You very well could. All right. But they are overrated. Okay. Here's a stat for you, Blake. Here's a stat for you. When was the last time Kentucky won 10 wins? Well, that was in 2021.
I think it was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2021. Okay. Now, tell me this. How many teams, just give it your best guess, out of those 10 wins, how many teams that year had a winning record? Just give it your best guess. I know it's hard. Because they beat us down, but we didn't have a winning record.
I'm going to go ahead and say 0.
They have 1, and that was Iowa, who wouldn't go for it on 4th and inches to win the game. And by the way, Iowa had 3 losses that year. All 3 of them were blowouts. They were the most overrated Big Ten team in quite some time. And
Sherry Berry in the chat too, sharing some knowledge, saying Georgia played Notre Dame too. That's a good point.
Yeah. So here's the thing, okay? And once again, there's so much data that will blow your mind. I promise you. And this stuff has just been happening, and we haven't. No one brings it up. Nobody brings it up. You cannot claim you play in the best conference in America when your average schedule is worse than a Big 12 schedule is on aggregate. This is worse than your middle tier Big.
Now I don't agree with you.
Okay,
Ain't
so
nobody in the Big 12 year in, year out playing Georgia.
false. So go look at the strength of schedule.
Carter,
It's
you mean to tell me that they've played a team like Georgia in the last 2 seasons, somebody in the Big 12. Outside of TCU having to make the playoff and get to a national title, they don't play Georgia.
okay. That is the absolute one most dominant, unbelievable team that they play each and every season. Okay. But
Okay. I mean, they've played. All right. I'm going to make an argument to you.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't think they play a team like Tennessee in the Big 12 consistently. And you know what they don't do? They don't play both of them in a month span either.
Right. But how good has Tennessee been during this Mark Stoops tenure?
Okay. What's another team that Kentucky's played? I mean, they did play down LSU.
Exactly.
I would have to say, when's the last time that they played Bama, or have they played Bama?
I mean, you play them once every 6 years. So they've only played them, I believe, once-ish. So let's actually aggregate this, okay? Trust me, I've been doing this all day today. So you take a look at a Big 12 schedule, all right? You play everybody once in the Big 12. So now that all of this is changing, right, Oklahoma and Texas is joining in, well, I could argue that you look at Kentucky's schedule each and every year. They play Georgia every year. All right. That's an automatic loss. You shouldn't win that game. No fault of Mark Stoops at all for him not winning that game. But the issue is, if I am, let's say, just your random Big 12 team, let's just say I am Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State. I've got to play Oklahoma every year. I've got to play Texas every year. Both those teams are top 15 recruiters. You also have got to play a really good team in TCU. TCU's had really good teams. You're talking about Gary Patterson, Hall of Fame coach. And you also have to take on everybody else in the Big 12. By the way, every year, unlike Kentucky and the SEC and everybody in the SEC, you've got to play everybody in your conference. So you're not really dodging anybody. Kentucky, Blake, does a really good job of dodging teams, right? You only have to play SEC West teams once every 6 years. Their permanent cross-division rival, you know who that is, Blake? Who Kentucky has to play every single year?
Tell the crowd.
It's Mississippi State, one of the weaker cross-division rivals that you can draw, right? So they get all these scheduling breaks, right? And lo and behold, they never play another Power 5 team not named Louisville on their schedule. It's cowardly, right? Auburn, okay, recruits way better than Kentucky. I'll say that. But they play Georgia every year. Now, who else has Auburn played in non-conference recently? Well, Auburn says, look, we're not a bunch of cowards. We're going to get on the phone and we're going to schedule a home and home with Penn State, a top 15 recruiter, on top of also playing Georgia in an SEC West schedule. Kentucky has not done that under Bob Stoops. It's cowardly. That's all it is. Now, there's a difference, Blake, between being cowardly and smart. Kentucky's also smart. You can be both of those things at the same time, because the one thing that people get wrong about college football that makes it very unique in the sports lexicon of all the big sports that we have that we love in America, right, is college football is not so much who you beat. It's how many losses do you avoid, right? You know, whenever the college football playoff discussion is being made, one of the first things you say is, well, how many losses does this team have? And that's what Kentucky does a really good job of. They have schedules where they have teams that it's hard for them to lose to, right? And if you avoid losses, you're going to have a lot of success. And Kentucky does a really good job of that. And
I just still don't. All right, I kind of want to move past the Kentucky.
Yeah. Let's talk
about. I will say though, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense, and I agree with you. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, no,
you can't dispute facts. Okay. Again, the SEC is a juggernaut. So, as an example, when you faced LSU one year and they were down, and then Tennessee the next year's up, okay,
right?
It's just the SEC, okay. So, yeah. I guess my ultimate point would be they played Ole Miss this year and got beat. Okay, right? Didn't they get beat by Ole Miss this year? I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Go listen to SEC Carter SEC.
One more thing to this. Okay, one more thing to this.
You would think we're a Kentucky podcast.
No. Here's a funny thing with this, Blake, and I always bring this up. Okay.
Oh God.
If you're okay, so going back to Texas A&M just really quickly, one thing the Texas A&M disaster did for the SEC is because Texas A&M had such a bad season, it overshadowed how bad Kentucky season actually was last year. They were under their win total. They had a quarterback that's going to go in the first round. Yes, they had to rebuild the offensive line. Yes, Chris Rodriguez wasn't available, but they were uncompetitive in a big game versus Tennessee, right? And there was just so much hype surrounding this Kentucky team. How are they going to look after the 2021 season? And they fell under expectations. And now Bob Stoops, when he signed a contract, makes more money per season than John Calipari, who, by the way, he got into the spar with last year, and that was started by Cal. My issue is if you start talking a bigger game and you start getting paid the $9 million salary, as a Kentucky fan, I want more results. I want to be competitive versus Georgia every now and then. I don't want to get blown out 44-6.
They were in 21.
And I also don't want to lose to Vanderbilt at home, which they did the day after he signed.
Hey, you put respect on Vandy's name right now.
I don't want to ever lose to Vanderbilt, period. All right. I don't care if I'm Florida. I don't care if I'm LSU.
Come over to baseball. You will lose to them pretty frequently.
That's true.
All right. Carter Bryant with us. That was interesting. I like that. Let's do that throughout the let's take some other SEC teams throughout the
let's do it.
The what do you call that? The off season.
Yeah.
Jane Daniels working out with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. We got the exclusive part on that, but what's your thoughts?
Oh, it's huge, man. It's huge just being around those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see what those guys are able to do. And honestly, both in particular, CJ has this one trait that you wish Jaden had, which is just, deep ball processing. And that's where CJ really separates himself from everybody in the class. Is
CJ's pocket awareness, though, is so much worse than Jaden's is. His pocket awareness, dude, outside of Georgia is pretty ass.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, when it comes to just flat out dimes, there's few college football quarterbacks. Now, he did throw to the absolute best set of receivers throughout his career since Joe, but still, I mean, it is just amazing what CJ can do accuracy-wise. Just being around those guys, though, it's good. Iron sharpens iron. I also think it's cool, Jaden and Bryce played this legendary game, and now you see them standing next to each other. It's pretty cool. And also, it was cool. He was wearing an LSU shirt in the photo. It's always a good thing, man. Anytime we get the brand out there, it's a good thing.
One thing that I think is interesting in seeing him in person versus last year is how much more physically bigger he's gotten. He's all of 205, especially from the waist up. Okay, pause, but from the waist up, he's bigger. You know what else I was surprised at, Carter? Because we went I think we went Tuesday, and then we talked on Monday. You know what else? Or whenever we went to practice, some guys that stood out to me: Omar Spates.
Omar, let's do it.
A big physical dude, man. And I just don't know. And look, I told you this, and we talked about this all off season. You're not going to be able to look. As much as I love Harold Perkins, I don't see him playing in the middle, Carter. I can't. And you know what else? Here's a stat for your behind. You ready?
I'm ready.
Dude, can I tell you something that's been bothering me with this LSU program over the last, let's say, 6 years? We do not get after the quarterback enough. We just don't. Carter, we were 80th in sacks last year. 80th. You take out what Harold Perkins did, you're 120th.
Right.
120th. We got to get dudes in the interior that can get pressure. Okay? I know that you get Mason Smith back, and right. Jamar Cain was doing what Jamar pretty much had to glue things together and put things together with duct tape. I don't want to see 80th again. That is abysmal. Okay. So as I've been breaking down LSU, so when I break down Tennessee, okay, defensively, secondary, horrendous. They were 127th in the country. And we were talking about it all season. They're 127th in the country. Here's what a team like Tennessee, you want to know how you get to 11, 12 wins? This is how. Tied for 45th in sacks, 32nd on third down defense, tied for 13th in red zone defense. Scoring defense was 36th, and rushing defense, they were 21st. That's how you win 11 games, okay? Carter, you got to get better at forcing quarterbacks out of the pocket. You just got to. I am done listening to, so-and-so's on the D line. Tired of hearing it, because here's the funny thing. In this fan base, we poo-poo on the offensive line. 80th in sacks.
Okay.
Let me ask you this question.
Let's hear it.
Better.
Okay. So I know Jamar Kane watches your show. So if he's watching right now,
maybe he does. I don't know.
He might. I know he's been on your channel before. As you know, I'm a Jamar Kane fanboy.
And I am too. And look,
I know you are too. I know you are too.
Preface, it got so much better. This is not. It would have been worse without him. Let me just make that very well known. Okay, like the Mekhi Wingo pull out of the portal is massive. Okay, what he did and how he got Harold Perkins ready every Saturday, massive. Don't get that twisted.
Yeah.
However, and he knows this isn't something that he does not know. Yeah. You can't be 80th in sacks, Carter. You just can't. Which unit's better?
Okay, so you are right overall. LSU sack numbers aren't where they should be. They're not as good as you would have thought that they have been during this dominant run. And still to this day, Arden Key isn't celebrated enough. He is still the only person with double-digit sacks in the post-Saban to now era.
Right.
So you're right. Sacks should have been higher, right? So let's take one of the great LSU defenses, the 2018 LSU defense, right? Grant Delpit led the team in sacks. So you are right, okay? Sacks do need to go up. Now, what I would say about the 80th in sacks stat last year is as quarterback play has gotten better, sacks have gotten to be more difficult. And last year...
But Carter, let me really interrupt you.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
Then explain that for everybody else. That doesn't stop everybody else, though. Doesn't stop Georgia, doesn't stop Alabama, doesn't stop Tennessee.
Okay. My retort to that is this, okay? Let's go back to Kentucky, all right?
All right.
Will Levis was the only reason that LSU did not break a record amount of sacks given up ever. So LSU didn't play Will Levis, who took a lot of sacks. Now, take a look at all the quarterbacks that LSU played last year, okay? For the most part, they were really freaking good. So LSU sack numbers are going to go up this year because the quarterback play is going to regress. LSU next year is going to play the same level of quarterback as they played last year as they will this year, right? So let's take someone like Jordan Travis, who gets the football out really quickly.
Zero sacks in that game, by the way.
What?
0 sacks in that game, by the way.
Exactly, because he gets the football out, right? Tennessee doesn't ever give up sacks. They had Darnell Wright, who I think is the most underrated player in the draft, and they got the football out really, really, really fast, right? So Tennessee is a tough team to sack.
The offensive lineman for Tennessee is who he's talking about.
Yeah,
right?
Darnell Wright's a really good player, and Hendon Hooker's gone. Okay, so LSU played Tennessee last year. LSU also played Bryce Young, who, as we all know,
so did Tennessee though. Carter, they're 45th in sacks.
Right. So Ollie Gay knows this, how difficult it is to sack Bryce Young. Okay, Anthony Richardson is a tank. He is also difficult to sack. LSU played a lot of difficult quarterbacks to bring down. Now, I do agree though, Blake. To your extent, to your point, 81st in sacks is unacceptable. That number should get up.
It has to go up. But here's the thing. I agree with that. Okay.
Right.
I agree that the quarterback that you play is going down. Okay. Without question.
Yeah.
I just think I'm going to say something that's going to go off really bad, and people might. I'm going to hear it. I know I'm going to hear from staffers. I know I'm going to hear from players. I know, you got better with the subtraction of Ali Gay and Jaquelin Roy.
Ooh. I don't know about that.
Savion Jones played a third of the snaps that Ali Gay had more sacks than he did, 4.5. Jaquelin Roy would not have started this year. If he would have came back, he wouldn't have started. Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo would have started ahead of him. So spare me when I'm watching Alabama film and Jaquelin Roy's 12 yards down the field. You are better by to some extent addition by subtraction in some extent. Jaquelin Roy had a really bad LSU career. Carter, don't come up in here and say that he didn't.
Wait, really bad career?
Carter, he was a former 5-star. He was a top 50 overall recruit, was he not?
You're really gonna say this right now? Jaquelin Roy had a bad career.
Carter, in 4 years,
no, Blake.
In 4 years, how many sacks does he have?
Sacks is an overrated stat, Blake. Okay,
Carter, I promise you this. Name the time and place, and I will break down film with you. And he got beat 8 times out of 10. Ole Miss spanked that ass. Spare me. I watched the all 22. Hold on. I watched the all 22 copy of Ole Miss last night, and he got his ass whipped for 60 minutes. Spare me.
Okay. All right. Let me defend Jaquelin Roy's name. Okay, because he did regress last year to a certain degree.
Think?
He regressed. I would say though his sophomore season was really freaking good. Okay,
highly debatable.
I don't think we beat Florida in 2021 if he didn't have the game.
You mean 2020?
No, 2021, and you could argue 2020 as well. 2021. Both the stops.
Carter, he was Pro Football Focus's worst interior offensive lineman in 2020, 2021, and 2022 in the run game for LSU. The worst.
Yeah, because they told him to penetrate on every
I don't care, Carter. You can penetrate, non-penetrate. If you're supposed to penetrate, that means you're not supposed to get touched. He's getting driven.
No,
spare me a little bit, and then what you will do is that you'll come in here and say Charles Turner sucks. Not you. You get what I'm saying. No,
I think Charles Turner's fine, but I think LSU can get better center play next year. Not only
we're cat fighting.
Yeah, hey, that's fine.
We did talk about Kentucky.
Oh, you want to know what's funny? I actually got this in today. AP sent me a crap. Where did I put it? Oh, here you go. I want you to see this.
Hold on.
Look at this.
He did, Carter.
Look at this. Look at that. K. Doty autograph card. AP sent this to me.
Can you not admit that he had a subpar career? Maybe shouldn't have said bad. I'll regress on that. I'll take that. I'll back up. Did he have a subpar career?
Okay.
Considering he was a top 50 recruit.
So, as you know, defensive line is my favorite position. It's a position I played. Okay. I would agree, Ali Gay, you can make a strong case addition by subtraction. I honestly thought he played better than what I thought. And, I did feel Ali Gay going into this year was a little overvalued. And, Savion Jones, I do agree. Savion Jones was playing just as good, if not better.
No, Carter. I mean, at some point,
I would agree.
The statistics don't lie.
Yeah. So I felt Ali Gay was a fine starter last year. You put him in fine starter, right? Let me say this: the middle of the LSU defensive end hierarchy.
Not in the middle.
That's what I'm saying. I would say he's probably a little bit below that middle, right? When Jamari Roscoe, Kirsten Pittman, Tremaine Edwards are in that.
Oh no!
What?
Kirsten Pittman's better than him.
That's what I'm saying.
I bet.
No, I knew Pity the Kid in college. We lived in the same apartment complex. I say Ali Gay is just below that middle tier. He was a solid starter. I put Roscoe ahead of him. I put a lot of those middle tier guys ahead of him. I'm not going to sit here and say Ali Gay was just bad.
They had below average careers.
Not Jaqueline though. I can't go as far as saying
Carter,
below. I can't call
name the game.
below average.
Name the game. Name the film. Name the game and name the film.
Okay, so let's go back to the Florida game. Last year, both of the only stops that LSU had in the second half of that game, the pick six from Dwight McGlothern was caused by a Jaqueline Roy pressure up the middle. Okay. Then later in the game, the Damon Clark interception to seal it, Jaqueline Roy.
Oh, so a five-star recruit's making a play in a game.
He made 2 plays in that game that really decided it.
He had 4 sacks in 3 years.
Yes. And neither one of those plays counts as a sack, but it counts as a pressure, right? And it forced interceptions that we might not have been able to get in those games. Also,
one of the McGlothern picks, though, was Jay Ward knocking it back in bounds.
Yeah, that was from the 2020 game. I was only bringing up the 2021 game. But in the 2020 game, he also had a very critical interior pressure in the fourth quarter of that game as well in 2020. So both of his Florida games are really good. Thought the Mississippi State game in 2021 was also good. I'd have to go back and rewatch all of it. But to that point, we were so thin on the LSU defensive line last year. I do give the man credit for playing the snap share that he had to play.
He didn't play more than his counterpart.
Yeah, I know. And I don't think anyone would disagree that Wingo was way better than him last year.
Did he live up to a 5-star recruit? Yes or no?
Well, he wasn't quite a 5-star. He was a top 50 4-star.
What, did he live up to a top 50 prospect? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
No, he did not.
You can't. I'm not going to call him a superstar. I'm not going to call him the Glenn Dorseys of the world. I'm not. But he was a solid to very, very good 5-star player. Probably the same way you would view someone like a Jacoby Stevens, right? He was a 5-star player who wasn't
underperformed.
That's what I'm saying. But he wasn't like a Jamal Adams level player. Jaqueline Roy wasn't on. I put Michael Brockers over him. I put Benny Logan. I put a lot of guys over.
Carter, in 3 seasons, he had a total of 4 sacks. He had 13.5 tackles for loss, and he had.
Well, it depends. I would love to see what his final pressure count was. I haven't looked.
That's what I'm looking for.
But I still think, and I'm Blake.
This can't be right. 17.
I'll call a spade a spade. I will call an LSU player overrated if he is.
Carter, in over 30 plus games, he had 17 pressures. That is not good.
Right. And guess what? It may not be in your mind, but at the same time, I think he had some games where he was phenomenal. I'd love to go back and rewatch all the games and look back.
Go watch Ole Miss, and when you call me tonight and say, "Oh, Mr. Blake, you were so right. He got physically dominated." That's all I want to hear, because Ole Miss and Florida could be a wash, right? Like how bad he played against Ole Miss in the back-to-back seasons can be a wash to anything that he had against Florida. Everything else.
But what's very interesting in that Ole Miss game in this last year, the Ole Miss
physically dominated up and down the field. If Mekhi Wingo is not there to save him on that 4th down play twice, then he's in big trouble.
I will say this, though. It wasn't necessarily a great play, but I think a big reason why Ole Miss was so aggressive getting quarterbacks out of the portal was I felt he did have the big hit that changed Jackson Dart's season. He landed on him funny. And Jackson and he retraced his steps and made a good play there. But I'd have to go back and watch every individual game. I've already, turned the page just looking for this next year's team. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Jaqueline Roy is amongst the all-time best LSU defensive tackles, because he's not.
Hold on, Carter.
But he's very solid.
My brother just FaceTimed me live during the show. Brett, welcome to AYS. You want to have any words? Calling you right back.
I thought he was going to take my side and be like, the DeQuail Royce Landers got to stop. Huh?
Well, talking to my brother Brett here, I am kind of ripping on LSU, so I thought you were calling me about to rip my ass because you're older than me. Brett, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. We're almost done. All right, bye. All right. So, Carter, last question for you. Last one. Then we're going to get on out of here from the whole thing. We'll just pick up on Saints and other stuff tomorrow. March Madness. You watch any March Madness?
Oh, it's been the best it's ever been. There's not been a better one than this one. There just hasn't. It's been great. I've been glued to my TV. I love it. And it makes it even better that the women's team is killing it right now. I'm very happy for Kim. I'm very happy for Angel to have that moment. Glad Ole Miss beat Stanford. That makes LSU look even better now. But yeah, the men's tournament is just so fantastic. From Fairleigh Dickinson, my uncle who just passed away a few weeks ago, he went to Princeton.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool to see Princeton go on this run. And I know they beat Missouri, but I mean, they beat them down. Very happy to see Princeton get to have this moment as well. The upsets are good, but it goes to show you, man, coaching is everything. You got to get it right. And I mean, Eric Musselman is that dude. I mean, they
living pretty high out there in Arkansas right now.
I mean, 3 Sweet 16s in a row for, an athletic program that's been through more heartbreak than any over the past few decades. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been great. I love it. So yeah, we'll see.
I'm rooting hard against Arkansas in baseball this weekend, though. That's what I know.
I'm too.
All right, buddy. We'll see you next week.
See you, bud. Lasagna time. Let's go.
All right. That's Carter the Power Bryant. Guys, we're going to go ahead and call it. I'll pick it back up on the Saints talk tomorrow. You can rest assured that we will, and some more LSU stuff. See you tomorrow, probably after the game. Peace out, Girl Scouts.